Ever get that, like, little pang of anxiety when you think someone's upset with you just from, like, a text message?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Or when you only read the headline of a news story and just assume you know the whole thing.
Yes. It's like our brains are always trying to figure things out, fill in the gaps.
But sometimes they don't get it quite right.
Exactly. And that's kind of where we're starting today with this whole idea of perception. How much does it really shape our world? What do you think?
Well, it's so interesting because it's like we're doing this all the time without even realizing it.
Right.
Just layering our own thoughts and stuff onto situations.
Mm.
And then we react based on that without even thinking.
Absolutely. So in this deep dive, we are looking at A Course in Miracles, lesson 146,
Okay.
which actually revisits two earlier lessons, 131 and 132.
Okay.
I'll just read them for you because they're pretty short.
Yeah.
131 says, "No one can fail who seeks to reach the truth." And 132 says, "I loosed the world from all I thought it was."
Wow. Okay.
So those are like big statements,
Huh.
but they have so much to offer when we actually kind of break them down.
Absolutely.
So what we really want to do today is help you, the listener, understand these ideas and how they can actually be really practical.
Right. Like, how can this change how you see the world?
Yes. And maybe even find a bit more peace within yourself.
I love that. It's like we're going deep into these concepts to find the really useful stuff.
Exactly. Because it's easy to get kind of lost in the philosophy sometimes.
Right.
So let's start with the first one, lesson 131. No one can fail who seeks to reach the truth. I mean, at first glance, it's like, that sounds pretty reassuring,
Wouldn't
right?
guarantee.
But what does that actually mean when you're living your life? What do you think?
Well, one of the big things A Course in Miracles talks about is the power of our intention. Like, it's not just about what happens on the outside, the results. It's about really, honestly seeking something deeper, a more truthful perspective. That in itself is success.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's about that commitment to truth.
So it's like a shift in how we view failure. We usually think about, did we get the job? Did we win the game?
Mm-hmm.
But this is like, it's more internal.
Yeah, totally. And I think about, like, how many times have you maybe wanted to explore a new idea or something, but you were afraid to be wrong?
Right.
You were scared you wouldn't understand it.
All the time.
Yeah. But this lesson is saying just that willingness to look for the truth, to be open to it, that's valuable.
Right. So even if I don't totally get it right away, the fact that I'm trying means I'm already succeeding in a way.
Exactly. It's about exploring, not judging.
It takes the pressure off a bit, right?
For sure. You can relax, be curious, and know that you're on the right path.
Okay, let's move on to lesson 132.
Okay.
This one's a little bit more,
Cryptic.
yeah, a little cryptic maybe. "I loosed the world from all I thought it was." Now, the first time I read that, I was like, wait, are we just supposed to ignore everything around us?
Right.
What do you think about that?
Well, it's not about pretending the physical world isn't real. It's more about letting go of all those judgments and interpretations we put on things. Those are all ego-driven, It's like taking off a pair of glasses that have been distorting how you see everything.
And for our listener, when we talk about the ego here, what we mean is that part of us that's all about fear and judgment, it's the voice in our head that's constantly comparing and criticizing.
Yes, and it creates all these stories based on, like, very little information.
Yeah.
It thinks it's protecting us, but it's actually keeping us trapped.
And it's operating from this place of scarcity, like there's not enough to go around.
Exactly. So when we say, I loosed the world from all I thought it was, we're saying, okay, I'm going to let go of those stories. I'm going to see things without that filter of fear and judgment.
So we're not denying our feelings, but we're choosing to not let them control us, right?
Exactly. It's about recognizing that there might be other ways of seeing things, more truthful ways.
Okay, so let's make this really practical. Remember that text message example we talked about at the beginning?
Yeah.
How would applying this idea of loosing the world change how we react to that?
Well, instead of immediately assuming the person's mad at you, maybe you pause and consider other possibilities, like maybe they're just busy or they have a different way of texting. You're not ignoring your feelings, but you're not jumping to conclusions either.
Right. It's like opening up to different interpretations.
Exactly. And giving people the benefit of the doubt.
What about in a disagreement with someone you're close to?
Oh, that's a huge one. Because in those relationships, we carry so much baggage from the past.
Right.
And our egos love to bring all that into the present moment.
Mm.
So loosing the world in that context would mean trying to see the person without all those old hurts and assumptions.
Like hitting a reset button.
Yes. It allows you to really listen and understand instead of just replaying the same old arguments in your head.
So it's not just for big dramatic situations. You could even use this idea when you're like stuck in traffic.
Oh, absolutely. Instead of getting all frustrated at the other drivers, you could recognize that you don't know what's going on in their lives. Maybe someone's rushing to the hospital or something.
It's about choosing a different perspective, even in those little
Yeah, because
moments.
those little moments add up, right?
They do. Okay, so we've talked about what these lessons mean, but how do they fit into the larger picture of A Course in Miracles? Why is this review so important?
Well, I think Lesson 146 really highlights some of the core principles of the Course.
Mm.
We've already touched on the power of choice. It's constantly reminding us that we have the power to choose how we see things.
And that the world we see through the ego's eyes isn't the whole truth.
Exactly. It's just a reflection of our own state of mind.
It also feels very connected to the idea of forgiveness, which is such a big part of the Course.
Oh, absolutely. When you loose the world from those judgments and grievances, you're essentially making space for forgiveness.
Because you're recognizing that your perceptions might be wrong.
Exactly. And that opens the door to seeing the innocence in yourself and others. And that's where the peace comes from.
So, seeking truth and releasing those false perceptions, it's not just a nice idea, it's a practice.
Yeah, it's a way of life.
And it can lead to some pretty profound shifts in how we experience the world.
Absolutely. It's empowering because it reminds us that we have control over our own minds.
So, for you, the listener, how can you actually start to put this into practice? Lesson 146 encourages us to spend some time with these ideas. What are some ways we can do that?
Well, one thing you could do is start each day with that affirmation. No one can fail who seeks to reach the truth. But don't just say the words. Really think about them. Bring to mind something you're working towards or struggling with.
So, connect it to your own life.
Yeah, and see how it feels to approach that situation knowing that your sincere effort is already a form of success.
That's a great idea. What about journaling?
Journaling can be really helpful for exploring those underlying beliefs that are causing us trouble. Those areas where we feel stuck or unhappy.
So, like, if I'm always feeling resentful at work, maybe I could journal about why that is.
Exactly. And then ask yourself, what am I believing to be true here? What judgments am I making? Are they really true? Could there be another way to see this?
It's like actively challenging our own thoughts.
Yes. And that can be so powerful.
We also talked about meditation as a way to release judgment. How would you guide someone through that practice?
Okay, so find a comfortable position, close your eyes, and just take a few deep breaths.
Okay.
Now bring to mind a person or situation that you're judging. It doesn't have to be anything major. Just notice where you feel that sense of judgment in your body. What are the thoughts and feelings that come up?
Just observe them.
Yes. And then gently, without forcing it, start to let go of those judgments. Imagine them dissolving like clouds in the sky.
So it's not about pretending we don't have those feelings. It's just about not letting them control us.
Exactly. It's about creating space for understanding and compassion.
It sounds like these practices, the daily reflection, the journaling, the meditation, they're really key to unlocking the power of these lessons.
Oh, for sure. They're not just one-time things. It's about incorporating them into your life, making them a habit.
And over time, you start to see real changes in how you perceive the world.
Absolutely. You become more aware of your ego's tricks, and you're more able to choose a different path. And the more you practice releasing those false perceptions, the more you experience forgiveness.
And that's where the peace comes in.
Yeah. It's about aligning yourself with love and truth instead of fear and judgment.
And when you do that, your whole experience of the world begins to shift.
Absolutely. You might find that conflicts aren't as intense, and you're able to respond with more understanding and compassion.
So just to recap, the big takeaways from this deep dive are the importance of seeking truth and the practice of letting go of those limiting ego-driven perceptions.
And always remember that your desire to understand, to find a more truthful perspective, that's already a success in itself.
So as you go about your week, we encourage you to play around with these ideas. Try the daily reflection, explore your beliefs in your journal, practice releasing judgment, and just notice what happens.
And one last thing to ponder. What would your relationships look like if you consistently practiced loosing the world from all those expectations and judgments you might be holding on to without even realizing it?
That's a great question to think about. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. We hope it's giving you some valuable tools for your own journey. Until next time, may you find clarity, peace, and understanding.
Thank you for listening.
Bye. Bye.